Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Scott Talley with Network in Action. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning, Lee. How are you?
I am doing great. Before we get too far into things, tell us about Network in Action. How are you serving folks?
Well, you're putting pressure on me already, promising a good show, but I'll do my best to deliver. So, Lee, about 6 years ago, my wife got her real estate license, and my background for the last 30 years had been in marketing. And I kept telling her, I can market the heck out of you, but you got to go network. And then we would typically get into a discussion about everything that was wrong with networking. So I woke up one night and said, well, why don't we do something about it? And that's how Network in Action was founded. We decided to create a sort of a revolutionary new way that business owners could network.
So then how does it work?
So typical traditional networking is run by volunteers and requires people to attend a weekly meeting. And so I thought that there was a space for, a service in the market between traditional networking and LinkedIn, which was all technology. So we built some incredible technology that keeps people connected during the 30 days we're not meeting. And by having a monthly meeting and a professional leader, we can get a higher caliber of member. And so most business owners would prefer to network with other business owners, not salespeople and marketing people. So that's what we've done is we've created a model where people can make a very nice living just connecting people and building relationships. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun business, not a lot of stress, and it can be very lucrative.
And then what happens at the meeting?
Yeah, so we created different agendas for every single meeting. So every meeting looks completely different than the one last month, but they all involve an added value. So there's some sort of benchmarking that's thrown in there. There's some opportunities for public speakers to come in where our business owners can learn something about they're not familiar with. Timely issues, when the new Trump tax code came down a year ago, we had people speak on that. So there's always extra added value, but there's plenty of time to get to know each other and learn how we can help each other.
But it's a very kind of a formal amount of time, like is it an hour? Is it 4 hours?
Yeah, great question. So it's 90 minutes once a month, and the first 11 months are all scripted anywhere in the country, whether you're in a Network in Action group in Atlanta or California, it's going to sort of look the same. After the first 11 months, our retention is so high that we don't have to spend so much time connecting people. We can really jump into the added values of the benchmarking and things I spoke about earlier. So we always have an exercise at every meeting that typically takes 40 or 45 minutes of the 90 minutes. It's creative and fun and fast paced and creates extra value.
And then are there kind of competitors in the room? Because some of these organizations have it so that every category is protected.
Yeah, we want to have one person per industry, but we're pretty picky about who that person is. So we do a little bit of additional screening than what traditional networking does. We require a background check so that the day you join the group, you can feel confident sending someone into your church or school or kids' school. So everybody gets a background check. We look for people who typically have been living in a market for 4 or 5 years, have owned their business for 3 years. And like I said, about 90% of our groups are either owners or decision makers.
So now when you built this initially for your wife, you built it for her, was franchising always in the back of your mind, or was this something you initially just said, this is just for her and this will help her get going?
No, Lee, my last business was in 37 states and 2 provinces in Canada. So I've always been sort of a big picture guy. And I felt like as I started researching this, I knew we had a home run, and I was like, we're going to franchise this. We waited a year to start the first franchise. So we started to work the bugs out. And funny story, my wife was the first member of Network in Action, obviously as a realtor, but she was also the first one to be kicked out. About 5 months into the company, we had our son, our first son. We had 3 girls, and finally had a son. And she wasn't doing enough real estate. I said, I'm going to kick you out of the group. group. So she created the inspiration, and she's the first one to have the exit.
Because accountability is part of what people pay for in the group, right?
It's a big piece of it. You just can't build trust if you're not there. And if you think your time is more important than all the other members and you're going to miss meetings, that's not going to go over very well. The analogy I like to use is nobody liked those times when we were younger and we got stood up by the pretty girl at the prom. You don't want to stand up to 25 or 30 people that you're counting on to help you grow your business. So attendance is really important, and participating.
And then is it like a requirement that I have to pass leads? That creates some friction sometimes in some of the other groups that you're just kind of giving them anybody just to check the box.
Yeah, that just doesn't work. And that's one of the problems with a weekly meeting and an obligation to pass a lead. And that's exactly what they are. They're leads. We don't do that. What we do is we focus on building relationships instead of focusing on a scoreboard. And that's a fundamental difference. If I truly get to know you and your family and what your why is, and what you care about and what your favorite college team is, and we find things in common, I'm going to want to pass business to you, and I'm going to look for opportunities to do that. One of the things we do that's real different is we have some technology that allows me to access my sphere of influence, whether it be on Facebook or my child's soccer game or the church or LinkedIn, and connect people from those other entities through our software with people that I want them to meet. And it may lead to business. It might take a year and a half, but we call it creating a connection instead of just passing a lead.
Now, when you went on this kind of franchise journey and you, I guess you had that end in mind when you were doing the beginning work, were you kind of in your head picturing who this ideal franchisee would look like? Or did you kind of stumble upon them after doing it for a little bit?
That's a really good question. Lee, probably like most businesses, it's evolved a bit. So when we started, we knew we needed people that were fiercely loyal and had a burning desire to help others. And that's still true today. But one of the things that's evolved is we've learned how important leadership is. You need to be able to lead. And sometimes when you're trying to lead 30 or 35 business owners, it's a little bit like herding cats. But a strong leadership skills are important for our successful franchise owners. And I would say today about 35, almost 40% of our franchise owners are business coaches or business consultants. So they have a coaching practice or consulting practice, and they see this as a nice add-on to their business.
So they're doing this as a way to just add more value and then also differentiate themselves from other business coaches in their market?
That's right. And if you think about a traditional business coach business, you can have a great practice, but if you get ready to sell it, you really don't have anything to sell because people are tied to you. They don't, if I bought your coaching practice, they may not want me to coach them. My style might be different. So this gives them an asset that they can move at a later date. It helps them build their coaching practice. And then most coaches are people who want to help others. So it's a great fit for us.
And then when you went to the market to explain this to them, was this something where they were like, oh, this is a no-brainer, I'm in, or was it something that you had to kind of convince them?
No, we've had really rapid growth. We're at 64 franchises here, really in our first 4 years of franchising. We sold one franchise and then we sat back another year and made sure we worked all the kinks out. So we've really only been franchising for 4 years, even though we've been in business 6. And so we've added 63 franchises in the last 4 years and never had a failure. That's what I'm most proud of. I don't want to take someone's money and then they have to go back to their wife or husband and say, hey, that didn't work out. So we're really proud of that. And, we can show someone how to do that if they're willing to follow the model.
And then does it require anything from them other than just being the leader and kind of facilitating the group, or do they have to have a space? Do they have to have any real estate, or is this something that they can do kind of in their own, in their own way, in their own kind of place?
Yeah. So we check a lot of the boxes that make this a really simple franchise. No inventory, no employees, no real estate. You run it from home, no requirements to buy any additional computers or software or financial packages. So if a person has a laptop or a tablet, if they have access to the internet and a smartphone, they can run a network and action group. So they do that from their home. Most of our franchise owners run 3 groups in a protected territory, close to their home. And they take about a year to build those 3 groups out. We want to try to get it to at least 24 people in each group. And we have a very impressive item 19 for your listeners that understand what that is. That's where we can disclose, obviously, the financial results of our franchises. And we're very proud of the fact that on a $40,000 franchise, all in, $40,000, no additional fees, no marketing fees, no research and development fees. Our item 19 is a pretty healthy $142,000 annually.
Wow. And then their job is just kind of facilitating this group. Do they have to kind of do a lot of work to bring people in, or is that something that corporate kind of helps them with?
We certainly assist them. We got the training and the support. And like I said, we've never had a failure, so we know how to build groups out. But after the training, you start on a journey of business development, and you're going to start with your first group. And we've identified 15 industries that pretty much join every networking group. And you might guess who they are. They are business coaches and financial services and property and
real
estate.
Yeah,
there you go. Mortgage and title.
Right.
So we go after those first 15, and that gives us the core founding group. And then we start to add the PEO and SEO companies and HR and the other ones that, and then they start on their second group and their third group. So it's been a really fun journey. We're growing really fast. We've won a number of awards for customer service and innovation, and just having a good run, having a good time.
Now, for the people that are part of the group, are the value they see is this camaraderie, the maybe kind of helping them through problems, like the peer-to-peer support, also getting business? I would imagine that's one of the metrics that are important to them. Like the value to the group member, is it just like the other groups, or are they getting something special at
yeah, it's much more. So I like to say they're actually buying access. They're buying access to this group of people that I'm putting together. So, I'm a little more qualified to put together, and I'm incentivized financially to put together a really talented group of people to be in the group every month. And so you're going to do better than when I'm in an organization where you're relying on the members to bring their friends, right? So salespeople hang out with salespeople, marketing people hang out with marketing. So if you get in a traditional networking group, you're going to be relying on the people in the group to grow the group. And while that model has been very successful for the last 35 years, we just felt like there was a better way. And so you're buying access, but in addition to the networking, Network in Action is a technology company. So all of our members get a free piece of software that helps them get 4- and 5-star reviews out on Google and Facebook on their smartphone app that we provide them for their membership. They have access to a CRM system. They have access to drip campaigns for their prospects. So there's a whole host of activities, even becoming a publisher in a book, that when they join Network in Action, all of these different business solutions are made available to them.
Wow. So you're really kind of helping them in ways that no other networking group even considers.
Absolutely. The networking traditionally is just networking. But what we found, especially since COVID, was that there were a multitude of needs that medium and small size businesses have. Believe it or not, 60% of the businesses in our organization don't have a CRM system. So we thought, why not provide one? Most companies don't have the ability to stay in front of their customers with an email campaign and text campaigns. So we had all of this technology we were using with our franchise owners, and we're rolling it out to all of our members. So we own all of our own software and technology. So if you think of Network in Action, we're a business solutions organization with the most efficient networking out there. Traditional networking takes about 90 to 100 hours a year with a weekly meeting. We can get that, we can save a person, 60 to 80 hours a year and still have the same kind of results or better.
Now, you mentioned COVID. How did you have to pivot with that in terms of, okay, now the meetings are going to be hard to do in person for a lot of folks. How were you able to kind of help your franchisees, through that? Because that was disruptive for a lot of folks.
Yeah, great question. So, it was different all over the country at different times. So we basically instructed our franchise owners, obviously, to follow the law, to not put our members in any undue risk. And so most of our meetings went to total virtual meetings right away. Lately, we've been doing a hybrid meeting where maybe 12 or 13 or 15 people of the 30 people are comfortable getting together in a restaurant, and the other ones want to be on a virtual platform. So we'll have a hybrid meeting where we can conduct the meeting with people, whether they want to be in the comfort of their own home or in the restaurant. But the real big transition for us came in our whole philosophy around, wow, people are hurting and we have an opportunity to add extra value. And so all of the services I've just mentioned to you that we're now including as part of our membership with Network in Action have come since March 15th of 2020.
Wow. So when the crisis hit, you jumped into action. That's part of your name. That's not an accident,
Yes,
right?
yeah. No, I appreciate you recognizing that. The first thing we did is we did a very informal poll as fast as we could around March 13th or 14th, sort of right at the beginning phases where, most of us, I think, thought this was going to go away in a month or so. And what we first realized is our businesses didn't think they would qualify or didn't know how to apply for EIDL and PPP loans. So we obviously had experts across the country in our organization, and we created what was called a daily dose. From day one, we were holding a 75-minute virtual meeting that people could get on. We had different topics every day. And when we went back and polled our members later, we found that about 60% of them credited Network in Action for getting their PPP and EIDL loans. So that was a very flattering, part of the journey. And so from there, we said, you know what, there's more things we can do. These are tough times and people need our help. And so really I hate to say it, but COVID's been sort of a blessing to Network in Action. Our franchise owners have enjoyed about 8 to 10% growth in most areas of the country, even during this time, because we changed the way we bring people on. We now let people try it for 5 weeks, Lee. So if somebody says, I want to visit your group, we say, listen, we'll do better. We'll let you experience our technology. We'll let you experience the quality of the group. We'll let you experience my leadership. And I'll be watching to see if you're going to be a good member. And so we actually let people try the membership for 5 weeks before they start. And then they decide if we want to convert them over to full-time members. And that's been a real blessing.
Wow, what an amazing story, Scott. You should be so proud of yourself in terms of how the impact you're having in all those communities and giving them resources and tools to help them better themselves and better their kind of the groups that they're working with. That's very rewarding work.
You're very kind, Lee, and I give the credit to our franchise owners who were willing to jump on board with us. And, a lot of people don't like change, and we had a few that leaned out, but by and large, our franchise owners were very encouraging and very supportive. And what I'm most proud about, if I can say, every one of our groups all across America offer a community service project once a year. And when my wife and I started this company, we said we wanted to get it large enough to where every 8 hours, something in America was going to be doing something great was happening because of the kindness of our leaders and the members of our Network in Action group. And we're not there yet, but right now, 4 or 5 years in, every 9 days, something in America is going on inspired by a Network in Action group and the great members that are part of that group. And they get to pick it. It might be veterans. It might be a homeless shelter. It might be a school that they get behind. It might be supporting a veteran who's an entrepreneur. But every single group does something to make this world a better place. And that's what we're most proud of.
And when you build that into the process and the system and you attract like-minded people, it's amazing what can be done.
Yeah, it's crazy. During that time that you're working on the community service project, you really get to know people and where their heart is and what they're really all about. And it's very, very connecting. And I feel sort of guilty that that's not why we chose to do it, but the ancillary benefit that's come back to us has been tenfold.
Yeah. And that's, that sounds counterintuitive for some folks, but I think that the more you serve, the more you win. And it's just kind of one of those laws of the universe that play out that way.
Yeah, that's true.
So now,
like you invited me to be on this show. I appreciate it, Lee.
Well, thank you for being here. If somebody wants to learn more about Network in Action in their community or get a hold of you in terms of being a potential franchisee, what's the best coordinates for you guys?
Yeah, I love to talk to them directly. I stay very involved in the process. I'm 63 years old, and I feel like I want to make sure that if we're going to take someone's investment, it's going to be the right fit. So my cell is 713-417-6152. And our email is info@networkinaction.com. Our website, networkinaction.com, also will allow you to visit one of the groups anywhere in the country.
And then since things are virtual, can you join any group or you have to pick the one that's where you live?
Yeah, a person's allowed to join any group. The process probably works best, even though, a CPA in Chicago could be in a group in Atlanta, no doubt. But would they be a good referral partner, right? Would they have people they could really refer? They would probably pick up business. But the whole idea of this is, what we think about networking, Lee, is completely different. Our definition of networking is where you go to bed at night and you're laying there thinking, what can I do for Scott? He's done so much for me.
Right.
And when you're thinking of that instead of what lead, what referral am I going to get, then we're really successful.
Right. It's got to be symbiotic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, Scott, thank you again for sharing your story. It's you're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Lee. I really appreciate you, and thanks for having me on. I know you've got a bunch of people to choose from, so I very much appreciate it.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.